Transdemic podcast. No, I'm not going to waste your time this week. I know I say the same thing every week, but I won't waste your time. I'm going to get to Bentley extremely quickly, and we're going to talk. And we got a guest. We got bad boy Blaine in the house from Louisiana, trans dude. Him and Bentley are going to chop it up about their recent top surgeries and really geek out about it. And then we're going to break down some other things for you right here before Blaine jumps on the podcast. And I say, let's get to Bentley. I don't know. Now.
And it's just like, oh, it's so annoying.
It's just like podcasts. It's the same, like when you have guests and shit and like you're trying to not miss a week. Or even like right now, I've been busy. And the only reason I'm doing it is because I just fucking hate. I just know it's important for podcasts, for momentum, just not to take a break.
No, totally, I get it. Yeah, I was only saying that just because I was like, if you're stressed, like you need to.
Yeah, I got close. Don't get me wrong, like I'm close because I was thinking because again, like I said, everything going on, and when we first started it, and I was doing the Mood House, it was like rolling. Then I stopped doing the Mood House, and I was like, oh shit, I wish I just had a break. But then I'm thinking, I didn't really think of the impact of the emotional sort of toll that this podcast kind of takes sometimes. Not that it's like a huge fucking deal, but like we deal with so many things on the day to day, and then getting here and talking about it's really great. But then also it's like sometimes you're just like, I don't want to talk about this shit right now.
Yeah, it's weird because it's almost like a therapy, and like therapy gets like worse before it gets better. So like sometimes when you talk about it, then like the rest of your day or like week is even more fucked up. But then in a way, it ends up being better, but like in the moment, it is kind of hard.
Yeah, it is. It's hard to revisit. Like, I don't know. It's weird because there's a dynamic going on where it's like, I don't know if you feel the same way, but I feel like as much as we dive in, and I know you're reading all the shit that's going on all the time in current society and shit, but as it pertains to trans people, it's like this dynamic between things are getting better and things are, it's weird. I don't know if things are getting worse. Like, I feel like things are getting better and then things are just bad. But I think they're like both kind of moving along like in this linear fashion for trans shit right now. Yeah,
it's really weird. It's so like ever since like the whole trans military thing and everything, it's so hard to see like where else is it gonna go? Because it is getting better in a lot of ways. Like how they just passed like where I don't know if you saw, but now insurance will cover trans people's hair transplants and stuff like that.
I did see that, yeah.
Yeah, so that's like a new thing, but then there's always some other fucking stab in the back, it feels like.
Yeah, like the J.K. Rowling stuff that just came out the other day.
Oh my god.
And it's so funny. It's like I think why it might be even more traumatic. Not traumatic. Maybe it is traumatic. I don't know. But like it's always centered around, you have the ability where it's not always focused on like trans dudes. Like the majority of the shit we're talking about that is so negative is towards trans women. All the time.
That's why I get so like dad pissy, because I'm like, it's not even about me. It's like about like my family.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I will not see trans women be disrespected ever. I have like zero tolerance for it, and I realized how lucky I am to be a trans dude, and like, yeah, we don't really get any of the heat in the media or anything. So it's like I just need to use my voice to stand up because this is bullshit. And like her new book is beyond bullshit. And then she's saying,
unbelievable.
A cis guy. And it's like, you know what you mean, you fucking bitch. Like, and I don't say that word like, like that. I think that's pretty deserved there. She's terrible.
Yeah, but again, I think when you get people like her, to sensible people, let's say when she first came out with her fucked up rhetoric, and then the more you see her engage in her ideals and her motives, you start to see it for what it really is. I think even people that aren't trans will start to see like, okay, there's something up. Even if they don't understand it, they're going to see that she has this weird obsession going on with it.
Yeah, it's such a weird obsession, and I read a couple of her essays, but the one I did a YouTube video on, I'm still really weirded out by it because she like mentioned in there that she would have possibly transitioned if it would have been okay 30 years ago, and then something about how she wishes she could be the man her father wanted, and it's like, is she just like a closeted trans man?
Maybe.
And she's like taken out because her essay really pointed that way, like in her word, not me like interpreting things, like she flat out said these things. So it's weird if she's hurting the community because she doesn't feel like she'll ever be able to come out, or if she's just terrible.
A little bit of both. Like either way, it's both.
Yeah, right.
So because but it could be there could be something to it because I mean, almost the majority of the time when you get people that are the most bigoted towards a marginalized group, especially when it comes to gender or sexuality, like they're mostly either, you know, they feel that way themselves or they're attracted to something like that. There's something always more there than just I just don't like this for the sake of not liking it.
And then to go on about it every day for like the rest of your life, it's kind of weird.
And like be defined by it and have, you know, there's a lot of people that probably, you know, feel her in ways where it's like they agree with it, but then there's a lot of other people that don't. And I think that that's what I'm talking about is there seems to be more of an awareness now as the trans thing visibility picks up of I don't know the reality of what trans is, but I think with today's climate and how goofy everything is and the way it's reported and the way people are perceived and all this shit, it just makes it so confusing for people to see the reality from a story or a hot button issue. Like all that shit gets in the way and just really screws it up for us to like be like trans people are valid and it's a real thing. Like this is it's in our brains, you know, like it's the disconnect between what our not being, because that sounds too obtuse, what our self is supposed to be. It's like the disconnect between that and what the body manifested, plain and simple, you know.
Yeah, it's very simple. It's like you see yourself one way, you look in the mirror, you want to die.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, it can be that intense. And that's again, maybe some people it's not as intense. But yeah, that's the reality. And that's what people need to understand when you get into that opinion rhetoric and like everyone has their beliefs. Well, we're trying to tell you that there's a difference between your beliefs and then what is fundamentally just like a reality. And we're telling you that trans people's existence and the fact that somebody that doesn't look like a woman could be a woman. And that's a reality that exists. And I'm sorry that that's hard to understand for people. But if anything, even if you don't get it, we don't need to hear your opinion and we don't need you to get like angry about it on top of that.
Especially because it's so real that it's backed by science and insurance companies will pay for procedures to alleviate gender dysphoria, which is it should be a huge flag to these people being like, oh, it is real. Like insurance companies pay for this stuff. Like it's not.
The problem is that they frame the insurance companies and they frame doctors and all these people the scientists, all this as people that are, you know, social justice lawyers and work and that they're forcing it on us. You know, that's the argument against it, which is absurd. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like that's what they say.
They're predators of the radical left.
Yeah, again, and that's so weird to me because I'm caught up, you know, by just association and all these buzzwords going on, and I'm like, I don't care about anybody's agenda, left, right. I'm trying to do things morally by the way, like I think treating people the right way is. I'm honestly, as a trans person, not sitting here trying to like push any agenda other than trying to be respectful of everybody. And then especially when it comes to parents, kids, like trying to have great relationships with your kids that aren't hindered by being trans, all that shit is what matters to me. Not an agenda to like fucking make your kid gay or trans or something, whatever the fuck that means.
Oh, totally. And it just like I feel like most people agree, but like I just wish I would have known it was a thing when I was younger because I knew I was trans, but I didn't know what that was. Yeah. I think it should be something that everybody knows, and they're not just gonna magically like think they're trans because it's a thing. Like I knew like other things existed and I didn't want to do them, or like when you're little, they're like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And you don't like, even if you're like, oh, I want to be a doctor, like you don't like, no one's brainwashing you into like saying that, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's not like you then, you're like taught about different professions and then you end up picking one later. It's like you can be taught about different ways of living and how different people are.
And it'd be so awesome to be raised like that. You know, I know kids that have been raised like that or are, and I'm just like, that's awesome that they had that experience and how different that would be to not have to deal with some of the trauma that comes comes with it. But also, I guess it's cool to come from that because then we have like a different perspective, and we've kind of had to earn like our way into ourselves, and we actually get to discover ourselves in a way that a lot of people that don't have to do that can do. So that's kind of cool.
No, it is. It's really special, and just to figure it out, and then once you like continue, like I don't know if you felt that way, but like once you're like out, it's just like, oh, this all makes so much more sense. Even like before I started like physically transitioning or anything, it's like now that I've like told people, it's like, wow, this was such a huge weight off my shoulders. I didn't even realize it was that big.
Yeah, you don't realize. Again, I don't know how many. I must have mentioned this 1,000 times. Everything is so much in hindsight. It's like you get there and then you make those changes and you realize like in hindsight how much you were dealing with, because you hear the rhetoric, or I used to hear it all the time from trans people, of the old thing you would hear a lot was like, oh, I felt like I was trapped in the wrong body. That became like what I always heard.
Yeah,
and I remember growing up, I didn't feel like that necessarily, like not in the way that they described it. But then, years and years later, and I come out and all that stuff, and then you then it's like, oh, that makes sense. Then I guess that did resonate. But I think that was also because I was terrified of being trans at the time, because it's like, it was always like, oh, yeah, but that's not me kind of thing.
Yeah, because you're kind of socially taught that that's like a taboo and it's disgusting and wrong. At least,
or like it could never be your existence, like I'm sure you felt that way, where you're just like, you couldn't imagine like living as the gender you were, like, because you couldn't imagine what that would be like.
Yeah, no, I thought it was literally an impossible goal. Even figuring out like how to get hormones, I was like, how do people even find hormones? And like here, like I had to find a special doctor and stuff because it's Arizona. But like even just figuring out the puzzle pieces of like how people actually even that like go through it, how they do it, like how to change your name and stuff like that. It all seems so foreign.
Yeah.
And then once you do it, it's like, wow.
No, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, now I just want to help people and like carry them and stuff. I don't know.
No, it's funny. It was I just put in I put in that name change order, and I finally talked, because then I called the fucking judge people, or who the fuck it is, and I called them, and then so that like I scheduled a hearing, and it's all on Skype now, which is also going to be weird. So the hearing will be, but it's kind of cool, I guess. I don't have to go through the whole bullshit of going out to the courthouse, and that's a whole fucking thing.
That does sound nice, yeah.
Yeah. So, and they were really cool, again, like you call the courthouse, the people that they're doing it, and they are super respectful, and they ask for pronouns and use them immediately, like, and it's more experiences like that really frame how you feel about yourself that you might not have known until like people address you the right way or talk to you a certain way.
Yeah, it's wild. And when people just are like, it just clicks with them. It's like, wow, that's really nice. Like, I went and got a back injection a couple months ago, because I have 2 herniated discs in my back, and I went in, and I don't know, this is like really weird to me still. I don't know, because I go to the same, that was my 3rd injection, and it's always the same doctor, obviously. And then this time it happened to be the same nurse that I had like my 1st injection. And I don't know if she was there for the second one, but I wasn't out for the first 2. So I was like, this is going to be awkward if they remember me, because I told them about snail mate and stuff. And so that, like, he'd always ask me like, oh, where are you going next on tour and everything. And this 3rd time I was like, my voice is all deep now and stuff. Like, this is going to be weird. But somehow the moment I walked in, the nurse knew that my pronouns were different and stuff, but I had a mask on. So it's like, she couldn't see my face, and she hadn't even talked to me yet. And I don't know how that happened, or if she saw Snailmate online or what, but she started just using my correct pronouns and stuff.
Wow.
And it was like really surreal and strange, because I hadn't like told anybody there, and it was just like such a nice, like I kind of want to go there and ask, like, how did you know that? But like it was such a nice experience for that to like happen, and then everybody else went along with it, and it was just like really respectful.
Yeah, it goes such a long way. It's so important, and fucking, I don't know. It's just cool when it's not a thing, I guess. Yeah, cool. I spend so much time where it's like just a fucking thing. I just want to just hang out inside and fucking stay away from people already to begin with. Fuck the gender thing, but just already. Oh my God. That's cool. We'll leave it there. That was a nice positive thing for that. And I'll just edit that into the beginning of the podcast, but
which is really my cue to welcome.
That's what it is. It's weird because
Blaine. I don't know.
Let's
do this.
See like that you were online or anything, so it was weird.
That's strange. Well, anyways, Kris, this is Blaine. Blaine, this is Kris. Welcome.
Hello.
How's it going?
All right. We're ready. Nice to meet everybody. And I mean, I guess I've met Bentley before.
Nice to meet you, Kris.
So awesome.
Yes. Cool. We just want to get it started.
Yeah, I'd say we just jump right into it. You can maybe explain what you want to do and kind of like what your thoughts are. It's getting everything going. It's just a basic just conversation that we have between all sorts of different trans people. So we just kind of dive into personal ass shit with trans people and have a conversation.
Yeah, so Blaine, if you want to start by like telling the audience what your pronouns are and then whatever life story you're comfortable with telling, go for it.
Well, my pronouns are he, him. I've been transitioning. I made 4 years, August 31st. Exactly 1 week from my top surgery date. So, yeah. So I guess like, I don't know. I've told this story so many times, and it like you think I would have it like down pat, but
there's always like more details you can add later, I feel.
Yeah, for sure. I guess as far as like, I mean, I'm 35 years old. I started transitioning when I was 31. Like I grew up in a strong, like strict Catholic household, South Louisiana. You know, I didn't even know what gay was until I got to like college, much less trans. Like that wasn't a thing. Mm-hmm. Small town, the whole town, super religious, one real big Catholic church in there. I was kind of closed off to the world. I didn't really know much outside of my realm. So growing up as a kid, I thought there was something wrong with me. I was like, you know, why do I not? At first, it was my sexuality was like questioning because I was like, okay, why do I think all these girls are really cute? And I'm pretending to like boys because, you know, I thought that's just what you did. And I like growing up, it wasn't until like I got to college, and then actually I didn't come out I came out in my early 20s as being a lesbian. After I left college, I went to college 5 years for music, and I was like about third or fourth year in, I started kind of experimenting with girls, and I had never slept with a man before. I mean, still haven't. It's not my scene. But so at first I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm just gay. Like maybe I'm just, you know, a lesbian. Like, so I finally came out early 20s as being gay, and I was like, just huge weight lifted off my shoulder. I was like, so just happy. I never, like, looking back, if you would have told my, you know, 10-year-old self, you know, I that I'm who I am today, I'd be like, you are a crazy person. You know, it was just, the concept was so foreign.
Yeah.
So fast forward, I started seeing this girl in my late 20s. We were together for probably about 2 years, and we got engaged, and I was like, okay, this is great. This is going to be the rest of my life, you know? Well, she basically like broke off the engagement because she was like, she just looked at me one day and she's like, you're not a female. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, look, you talk about wanting, because I did drag for 10 years. And anytime I was on stage as Blaine Baxter, my stage persona, I felt really good. I was like, you know, I felt more comfortable as Blaine Baxter than I did as Blaine Grandin, or, you know, my former self. Mm-hmm. So she was kind of like, we were arguing back and forth, and I was just like, you kind of already knew I was having these weird feelings about my identity when we first got together. And, it kind of sucks like that she waited that long to, I guess she thought she was going to be okay with it. But at the end of the day, she's like, I'm a lesbian and you're not. And I was like, kind of eye opening. So we parted ways. And 1 month later, exactly 1 month later, I got on my first shot of testosterone. Like within the very next week, I found a therapist. I got my letter of recommendation, and then I started T. And like it was a whirlwind. I mean, since then, like I've grown so much as a person. And looking back, I would think of myself as a kid, like people were like, well, when did you realize you're trans? And I was like, well, now looking back, now that I know what trans is, I was probably like, I don't know, whenever kids are potty trained, like 3 years old. I don't
Depends
know.
on the kid.
Yeah, right.
my earliest memory of standing in front of the toilet, looking at the toilet going, I'm supposed to sit on this thing? What? That concept was weird. I thought I was, I was trying to pee standing up. Like it didn't click. I never really felt right my entire life in my body, and I had no idea why until I got out into the world and I met other trans people after I left college. In between this time of me doing drag, and I had won Mr. Louisiana back in 2014, and I was able to go to nationals in Oklahoma. And the bulk of the pageant system are all trans men. And I remember just getting there and I was like amazed. I'm like, oh my God, that's me. Like, this is a thing.
That's so interesting. Cool. Like, I didn't know that. Like would you say a large amount of the drag, what do they call it? Drag kings? The drag, are they majority also identify as trans?
In the pageant system that I competed in, yes, the bulk of them were trans.
Awesome.
I was the only, well, we're called male. There's different variations of it, but we were called male illusionists because we err on the side of drag as like costuming and looking as much of a man as you possibly can. So it was that illusion, and that was kind of like my big breaking point, because like meeting these guys, they thought I was like considered myself trans, and they thought I was just like maybe pre-T, and I was, but I didn't realize it. And on the way back from the competition, the same girlfriend that I was engaged to, she's like, wow, there were a lot of trans guys there. And I was like, yeah. I was like, wasn't it awesome? And she was kind of like uneasy. She's like, well, I don't know. And I'm just like, looking back, I'm like, okay. I see what's going on.
Totally.
But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much like the bulk of my story. I do mentor a lot of trans youth, kind of all over, like in Louisiana, because I mean, it's not a very big community down here, especially in South Louisiana. In Houma Thibodeau area, like where I live, I recently reconnected with a few buddies of mine that we knew each other, 5, 6, 10 years ago as our former selves, and now we're all kind of like meeting back together. And like perfect example, my ex-girlfriend was at the bar like pre-COVID, and she sends me a text. I was at Intercoastal Club where I met Bentley, and she's like, dude, there's a trans guy here, you have to meet him. I'm like, sweet. I go over to the next bar, I walk in, and it's my friend that I knew for years.
Oh, no,
and she's like, oh my God, you guys know each other? I was like, yeah, we have a network, hello.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
How is it, like,
go ahead, Ben.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, like, how is it living down there in the South, and like, how are you treated, like, on a regular basis, like at work or when you go out? Just like different experiences that like I might not experience here in Phoenix.
So at work, I've been at my job for 14 years. I'm a manager for Best Buy, and
People stay in that job, by the way.
A long time. That is so
Yeah.
long.
No, I have friends that stay like at Best Buy, like a couple, like they stay in Best Buy.
Oh,
Sorry,
yeah.
I didn't mean to go off the path. But
No, it's good. It's cool. That company is one of the best companies you can work for if you are LGBTQ.
that's awesome.
They are. I got to change my name and all, my gender marker, all that stuff in the system before it was changed legally.
Wow.
They have been so progressive. So I'm over hiring and like front end customer service and stuff. So part of my job duties is to order stuff. And I remember about a year ago, I was going to order a name tag for somebody, and there was a new drop box, and it said pronouns.
Oh, nice.
They have he, him, she, her, them, they, Z.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Damn, they go that far? That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Z, and then I think there's an XI or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know how to say that one. Is it there's like XE and XI, right?
Yeah.
I have
something.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce that one. I feel bad if anybody can like.
Yeah, same. I'm really bad at that. I should.
We give away free pins that say that, but I don't know how to say it out loud. So I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But so work-wise, it's great. I haven't really had any issues. All my employees know about me. I mean, it's a small store, so yeah, pretty much everybody knows.
Were they all chill, like when you first came out?
Everybody was actually really accepting. They were really cool, and you know, every now and then I'd get that one random employee that would kind of like for instance, there's an older gentleman that works in one of the sales floor, one of the departments, and he knew me probably like for maybe like a few months before I started transitioning.
Mm.
He calls me Blaine, but he will not refer to me in the masculine pronouns ever.
It's like, always old dudes. Always.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
even
now with a full beard.
What?
Goodness.
And he will do it in front of customers. Like I'll walk up to give him an override, and he'll be like, "Yeah, she's got me. She's she's the boss." And I'm like, I don't know what to do, so I just kind of like brush it off because I'm like, I'm just gonna, pick and choose my battles. It doesn't bother me because he's ignorant. You know, he's older, like South Louisiana.
And you're in a small town. It's small.
Small town.
It's really small. I was worried about playing there until we played there, and then it was awesome. But
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. A lot of people say that. So work is good. There's a bar about a street over from me, like a block away from my house, walking distance. And it's a good old boy bar. Like it's oil field workers, offshore guys, older gentlemen. All the bartenders are older ladies, and the owner is, like not very nice to LGBT.
That sounds like my kind of bar. I'm just gonna roll up in that bar.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah, he just kind of like, I don't know. Whenever he also owns a bar across the street from Intracoastal, and Intracoastal is very progressive. It's an everybody's bar, but he basically was like, "Hey, that bar across the street is that and he said the F word."
Oh damn.
Yeah, he's like, is it that kind of bar? And somebody's like, "No, it's it's an everybody bar." So knowing that
It's not a gay bar at all. I didn't get like gay bar vibes. It's just a very friendly.
It's just very open.
Yeah.
But because we do drag shows and stuff, people tend to deem it as that. But I'm like, we're like people, and we're not soup cans. There's no need to put labels on all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So, knowing that guy owned that bar, I didn't want to step foot in there. But one of my good friends was like, "Hey, come drink with me. This is the bar I go to." And I'm like, you know I'm trans, right? And she's like, "Yeah, it's cool. Don't worry. I said, "Okay, well, before we go anywhere, I need you to know we just started hanging out. Me and this girl, she works at the barbershop. And I was like, don't out me. Like, it's my story to tell. It's very scary, especially in a setting like that." And she's like, "No, I totally understand. I got your back. Don't worry. Nobody's going to find out." I was like, "All right, cool." So I went. They got to know me. All the dudes over there, they're cool. They still, like, they say the N word. They say the F word. Like, very backwards.
Yeah.
So I'm like an undercover, like, on the ground level, listening to these dudes like, "Oh man, you missed a shot. This is so gay." And I'm just like, oh god.
Yeah,
But I wanted them to get to know me for me, so I was going to get to know them for them. Other than their like old school ways, they're actually really nice people. And I got along with a lot of them. Well, I got along so well with a lot of them that, like, it kind of leaked that I was trans to a handful of them.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, that sounds scary.
Because the bartenders all added me on Facebook, and they were like, one of the bartenders pulled me aside, and she's like, "Hey, I got a question." And I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Why do you wear tape on your chest all the time?"
Oh,
What the fuck?
Like, when have you seen me shirtless? And she's like, "On your Facebook." I'm like, "Oh." So, well, I guess I'll tell you. But you can't tell anybody else in the bar. And she's like, no, I'm not going to say anything. Well, yeah, she did. She told a handful of people, and they, in their own little right, and like, these are good old boys. They pulled me aside like, "Hey, Blaine, just want to let you know, man, I don't care what you are.
It's awesome.
You're a cool dude. And if anybody messes with you, they're going to answer to me." So the bulk of them, like, they were cool, and they were like, "Man, why didn't you tell us sooner?" I was like, "Well, dude, it's not something, I really talk about with you guys, because, it's personal." I said, "I'm not ashamed of it whatsoever, but I don't want you to judge me from that." And he's like, no. One of the dudes actually was like, "Dude, I'm telling you right now, I was completely against trans and gay people and all this stuff. But getting to meet you and hang out with you and drink beers with you," he's like, "Dude, y'all all right." He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Well, we've been trying to tell you guys this for years, but..."
right? Oh my gosh.
So just that little experience kind of restores my faith in mankind. Not all of the dudes are okay, because there's some of them that will refuse to talk to me now because they found out. But I don't really give a crap about those guys, so it doesn't bother me.
It's a great story. I feel like that it's not all of those people. I'll generalize it I think there is probably an overwhelming amount of people that would react very similarly, because I've had experiences in small towns and stuff. When you get to know people on a personal level, and then they realize that, then they're like, "Okay, this person's cool." And it kind of overtakes what they thought. But then what sucks is then they're like, "You're cool, but then these trans people got to go," or they're feeding policies, or they're supporting whatever it is, and not realizing that these people are also, fucking us over. But yeah, that's a cool story. Great story.
No, it's super cool. And it is, I feel the same on tour. There's so many people that I expected, like, even just to lose, like, Snailmate fans when I came out. But, like, some of the people I expected to just totally, like, block us are, like, number one supporters.
Yeah.
It's so weird how that works. Like, some of, like, the backwoods, like, stick boys are, like, the ones that are, like, giving me money for my top surgery and stuff. And it's like, wow, I never expected that.
Yeah, when I first came out as trans, one of my very best friends, who I performed with for years, me and her were inseparable. She's a lesbian, and she, like, called me immediately when she saw my post, because I posted on Facebook, like officially, you know, because it's not real unless you put it on Facebook, right?
Right. Okay.
So she calls me and she immediately tells me I'm making a huge mistake and that I'm gonna regret it. I need to take some time to think about it. And I'm just like, dude, you know me, like I've been thinking about this for 31 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she didn't talk to me for a long time, and it really hurt. And just recently, she was living in California. She just moved back to Louisiana. Just recently, she called me and she's like, dude, I miss you. I'm so sorry. I'm here for you. What do you need? Like, this is like right before my top surgery.
Oh wow.
And, you know, total like 180. And I was like, that's awesome. Thank you. Welcome back, friend.
That's another great fucking story. This is cool.
I feel like she got the California blood and like was like, oh,
Right?
that could probably help moving to California for a while.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of top surgery, this is why we had, you know, the timing to call and go ahead and get you on this podcast was because Bentley has been sharing all of his grotesque and gruesome horror stories. Not really. It actually went really well. Of the surgery. But we want to hear your perspective. We want to see the dynamic between top surgery in AZ and top surgery wherever you got it and how that's
like how did yours? I've already like said mine on the podcast, but like tell me how your surgery went from like the morning you got there, like until you got home, and like just like dealing with the doctors and stuff like that. And then I kind of want to chime in if things were like different.
Okay, yeah. And I mean, me and Bentley actually had surgery, like, 3 days apart?
Who?
amazing.
2 days apart.
Yeah, 2 days. Yeah, 2 days apart. And we were in touch pretty much the whole time through recovery. So I've heard, you know, his stories as well. But so basically, New Orleans is where I had mine. And everybody at the doctor office was super nice, like super helpful. I was nervous as all get out. Like it was crazy. But my friend was there to kind of like calm me down, and so they put me in the first little room. They had to put the paper gown on and everything, and the doctor comes in. And the doctor was just basically explaining what he was going to do, and they had to do the markings and stuff on my chest. And you know, the nurses were asking like how I was feeling, and I was like, I'm scared as hell. So they set like the IV and everything. They must have gave me like anxiety medicine or something before, because rolling like down the hallway into the OR, that is the last thing I remember. My friend grabbed my arm and she kissed me on the forehead and she said, "You got this, dude." Nope. That's the last thing I remember. I'd wake up in the recovery room later that day. I think it was about 2 hour surgery, 2.5.
Oh, damn, that's it? Mine was almost 4.
Yeah.
Wow.
My buddy's with the same doctor, same surgery that I had. His was 4 too. But yeah, mine was a little under 3 hours.
Wow.
Doctor was feeling it that day.
Right?
Yeah. So waking up in the recovery room, I was all hopped up on anesthesia. I remember sending a video message to one of the soups at my store. It was his birthday. So I sent him a happy birthday message, a little video, and he's like, "Dude, you were so high." I was like, "Yeah, the anesthesia was great." I didn't react very well coming down off of it because I was super nauseous. I threw up like maybe twice.
Dang.
They made me eat a little bit of Jell-O, and then they gave me like anti-nausea meds, and I got there at 5 a.m. and I left at 5 p.m. So I was there for 12 hours. Because after I got out my surgery, I went in my surgery at, I want to say it was in the afternoon. They didn't get to me till the afternoon or midday.
So you got there at 5 and you had to like wait.
Yeah, I waited probably about an hour or two.
Oh damn. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, because I had to check in and everything. I was probably one of the first surgeries of the day.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. No, I think I want to say I waited at least an hour to maybe 2 hours before I actually got into surgery. And then the reason why I was there so late is just because I nauseous, like I couldn't sit up from the anesthesia. And I remember like going to the bathroom right after they helped me up. They walked me to the bathroom, and that first pee was burned so bad. I have
Really?
no idea why. I guess it was the anesthesia or something.
Weird. I don't remember my first pee afterwards.
Yeah.
It was at home. Mine was at home though, because I was like my surgery was at 2:30, and then it was like 4 hours almost, and then I was in the like post-op room. But most of the people, I was like one of the last surgeries of the day in the whole center, so I was the only one in the basement in the post-op room with the nurse,
Yeah.
and it was all these empty beds and stuff. And anyone else that was like staying overnight was upstairs, so I was like the only one down there, and I didn't puke or anything, but I was super nauseous for a good like 10 hours afterwards. But they didn't give me food or anything. It was kind of like I was out of it, and then I like breathed in that weird thing I sent you a picture of, like that breathing thing, and they check to make sure your lungs aren't all like collapse or whatever. And then they kind of like were like, "Cool, your ride's here. We're gonna roll you out." And then they rolled me out. But I also wasn't super like high. I was bummed because I had Kaylin film the whole ride home for my top surgery vlog, and I ended up not even using any of it because none of it was like out
Crazy.
there. It was all pretty normal conversation.
Yeah, my friend, I remember like saying this stuff, but in my brain I was just like, dude, why are you saying this? What is going on with you? I was like, hey, why are like the nurses should all be like topless, and I really want a bartender that's a giraffe but with like a sharp neck, and he's got to be sexy, like sexy giraffes. Like if that's a thing, it should be a thing.
Oh my god! So you had like the full like you had anesthesia, like
Yeah.
oh,
That's awesome.
And my friend's just laughing hysterically at me, and I was like, "What are you doing? Like, what are you filming me right now? Are we live? Is this on television?" And she's just like, "Dude, you are so high right now."
That
The
is
ride home
funny.
was kind of okay.
How long was your ride home?
It's like an hour drive.
Oh, okay. Cool.
But when we got back, I stayed at her house. I just remember that first night's sleep. Like I took some pain meds, and I slept for most of the night. But having to sleep on my back was super hard, and those drains sucked so bad.
Damn drains.
Terrible. Did you have this problem the first night? My worst night of sleep was the second night. I was in the most pain the second night, and it was to the point where I was like, how I felt so trapped in my body, like because of the pain. I was like, how did I do this to myself? Like, not like regret, but I was like, I'm in so much pain right now. I can't sleep. And I was so frustrated that I felt like I was going to feel like that forever. And that was like overwhelming. And then that went away after the second night. But anyways, my first night, I kept like passing out. I hear a dog or something. Oh God!
Yeah.
What? Was there a dog going?
Oh, I heard.
That's awesome.
I was like, "Is it dying?" No, I don't know if it happened to you, Blaine. But my first night, I kept falling asleep, and then the second I would like fall asleep, I would feel like I was like in the hospital again, and kept like waking up and being like, "Oh my God!" Like I'm under anesthesia, but like I was just like flashbacks, kind of.
Yeah, I think my second night was very similar to that. Mainly because it was so hard to fall asleep, and I didn't want to take a pain pill unless I absolutely needed it. Because they gave me oxycodone, and opioids are no joke, and I I have a slightly addictive personality, so I didn't want a chance getting addicted to them
Totally.
because it like I gave it to my friend, and I was like, "Don't give me this unless my pain level is super high." And I probably took maybe a total of like 5 or 6 of them through like within 5 days
Oh,
or
cool.
4 days, like one a day, I think, or maybe two a day, if it was really bad.
Wow.
And
I
I
was
had to,
popping them every 4 hours the first 2 days, and then I quit
yeah,
cold turkey on the second or on the third day. But the first 2 days, it was every 4 hours. I like needed it.
no, you're right. Um, the first 2 days, I was taking them every 4 hours. We were timing it.
Oh, good.
The now the first night, no, okay, the first night back was pretty horrible. Now that I'm
Yeah.
thinking about it, because I was sleeping, I had to sleep in my recliner,
Yeah, that was rough.
Sean
and
would
that
love
was
that.
rough.
I know Sean. Sean can fucking sleep anywhere. He should have all the surgeries.
Yeah,
Anyway, that sounds miserable. The recliner sleep is never good.
Yeah, it was
yeah, it was bad. She
bad.
like tucked me in with pillows on both sides of me, and like she got me this neck pillow. It was, it was, it was gnarly. It sucked so bad, and the drains. The worst part of all of it, hands down, were the drains.
I totally agree.
Those things hurt so bad. Getting them out was such a relief. I
Oh,
felt lighter.
yeah, that was terrible. I had to wear the vest, so it was like pulling up on them. And I'm so glad they didn't scar, or they scarred, but they didn't. I thought they were gonna scar like with a bump, but they scarred flat. So I'm really,
Oh, nice.
really, really stoked.
Yeah,
about
I have
that.
a little bump, but it's going down already. It's like right underneath my underarms.
Oh, and I guess for the listeners, they all know I got double incision with nipple grafting. You got the same surgery,
Yeah,
right?
same thing. Yep, double incision with the free nipple graft.
Did you have the like bolsters on your nipples too?
Yes. Yep.
That's cool. I didn't, because you didn't really take off your ace bandage in the beginning, did you?
No.
'Cause I had to
So,
clean my bolsters like when they were on twice a day.
oh yeah. See, so this is where I think ours differed. Um, so for the first 5 days, I had the drains, and I didn't have a vest or anything. It was just that wrap thing I had sent you. It
Yeah,
was like a bigger ace bandage with a lot of gauze and stuff.
and you
And
didn't
so
touch it at all, right?
yeah, I could that was on. I couldn't take that off at all for five
Wow,
days.
cool. Yeah, and
Um,
I had the ace bandage for the first night, and I thought that looked really cool, and it was super comfortable with the drains. And then the second day, I had to go in, and they took all that off and put me in a vest that I just got off yesterday, and that was squeezing my ribs so hard. But I got that the second day, and then for the next 6 days, I had to clean the bolsters twice a day, and then I got my drains out and the bolsters out 6 days later.
so with mine, I had that wrap drains after 5 days. I was supposed to keep the drains in for 7 days, but we had another hurricane headed towards us, so I had to go early. So 5 days, drains got taken out. Then they, on the same day, they took off all the gauze and stuff, and then the bolsters. And that's the first time I saw my chest was 5 days after surgery.
That's awesome. That's a lot.
Yeah, it was really swollen and really gnarly looking. So then
Yeah.
I had the tape on the incisions that stayed, and they wrapped me with two gauze pads over my nipples,
Mm-hmm.
and then with the wrapped me with ace bandage, and I had to change those dressings for 7 days, and then I went back after 7 days. They took the tape off the incisions, wrapped me again, for 2 more weeks, And today is the very first day that I was able to go without the ace bandage. I'm done with it. Done with anything on my nipples. I'm literally walking in my neighborhood right now, outside, no shirt, no nothing.
That's awesome.
It feels amazing. And we also have a storm heading this way, so
Yeah.
Nice.
Is that
Hurricane
tropical
season.
storm that's headed over there?
yeah.
Oh my
It
gosh.
moved. We're just gonna get the outer bands, a little bit of rain, a little bit of wind, nothing major.
So it sounds like the both the healing processes are pretty at the same spot, like pretty close to being the same.
Yeah, the only difference for me is I had to clean my bolsters for a week, and then I had to clean my nipples for 2 weeks. So I had a
You
lot
Yeah.
got extra clean nipples.
an extra clean. Yeah, right, extra clean nipples.
I did have to clean my nipples for 2 weeks, but the
Oh.
bolsters, like, I didn't even see the second I saw those,
They
they
took 'em off.
took them off.
That's probably good because I had to see him the second day, and when she took it off, she was like, "Do you want to look at your chest?" And the way it smelled, I was like, the way I'm feeling right now, I don't know if I can look at my chest because then I'm going to associate like the weird pain, feeling, numbness stuff like with my body, and right now I'm like they're separate. So I looked down and I almost like puked, even though I didn't have any bruising or anything, but it's still like it just looked like the feeling. And seeing the blood and stuff, I was just like, "Oh my god, I don't know how to like process this."
I get that.
Yeah, it was just so gross feeling, but now it's like amazing and worth it. And I'm have my little scar treatment strips on, and I'm just gonna wear those for 6 months and then get them tattooed.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna do a chest piece to cover the scars, but I'm gonna wait about maybe 2 years
Nice.
because I mean, just looking at my scars from day one until now, they've already healed so much, and it's the expectation of when I first saw my chest. It was the weirdest feeling in the world, honestly, because I felt nothing. I didn't feel excited. I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel sad. I just felt nothing. I was just like, what is this? And my friend was like, look, dude, you never thought this was going to happen. You've waited and it got pushed back so many times that your brain's just got to like realize like, hey, this happened. And now just every single day when I look down at my chest, that I just get happier and happier of not only what it looks like, but the fact that I went through that pain, that struggle, and it's finally here.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I thought for sure, like I would like cry from like happiness or something when I saw my chest, but I was kind of the same where I didn't really feel anything until later. Like once the bolsters were off, and then I was like so stressed about my nipples falling off that like I was like I still can't enjoy it. And then now that like my nipples are the areola is all healed now. The nipple's still a scab, but the areola look really beautiful. Now
Yeah,
I'm
same with mine.
Oh, that's good. It was scary for a while, but I was so stressed about like a nipple falling off or something that I couldn't enjoy it. But now, yeah, every day it's like better and better and happier and happier. But I totally agree where I didn't really feel anything either. Besides, I was like nauseous from looking at it, I guess.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. Every time you talk about nipple falling off, I always think of like Ren and Stimpy, so I'm just laughing all the time.
That's funny. Yeah, no, I was
It's
so
a real thing, and people don't realize that. Like, it
Yeah.
really does happen if you don't
Crazy.
take care of it right.
Exactly, and that's like the main reason they don't want you to smoke like 6 weeks before.
Yeah, I quit a week after Mardi Gras because I mean, I had to give myself one last bang.
That's awesome. So, yeah, that's the main thing that makes your nipples fall off. So I'm always
Smoking?
glad
Yeah,
people. Yeah.
Wait, just during the healing process, right? Like that, you can eventually smoke again, right? It was like you just
Yeah.
smoke one day and then it falls off 3 years
Oh
later.
god, no, yeah, it's 6. Mine at least was 6 weeks before and 6 weeks after. At least I don't smoke, so it didn't matter for me. But
they
just-
told me 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Did they explain how that works? How smoke causes that?
I think it's just something with the skin rejecting itself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Like
They
something
explained it.
something in the toxins and the nicotine or something like that. Because I had a friend, whenever she found out I was having top surgery, she just looked at me and she grabbed my arms and she's like, dude, quit smoking. I love your nipples. I don't want them to fall off. I'm like, what? Because she had a augmentation, and we both smoked. We'd been in the bars. We'd go out drinking all the time, and we'd like smoke a pack a night. And I was like, "Oh, calm down. They told me to quit smoking. I quit a long time ago." And that was the first time I heard the nipples falling off thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a horror. I was so stressed. My right nipple was really behind, and I was like, if this falls off, I'm gonna be so fucking sad because I want to pierce them so bad.
Mine were pierced. Yeah, I think we actually talked about that. Mine were pierced previously, and I took them out, and that was a real dysphoria kick.
Same.
Out.
I think I told Kris that I had to take them out a month beforehand, and I dry heaved. I nearly puked from cleaning my nipples without piercing, nationalizing so much that I didn't even really notice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because with the nipple rings in, they tend to look more masculine.
Yeah.
Than anything. And once you take them out, they're regular nipple you don't want to look at.
Yeah, it was nasty. That was not fun.
That's interesting. That's an interesting take. And it's interesting that you both share that experience. That's because it can be so varied with dysphoria.
Yeah,
we have gotten so close over these last couple months. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially having it 2 days apart, and I think we had to take out our nipple piercings at the same time.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of the same. I got my vest out yesterday. You got your wrap off today. It's it's really cool. It's heartwarming, especially because you're the only trans dude friend I really have. The rest of my trans friends are girls.
Yeah, my very first trans friend that I met is a female, and she took one look at me and she goes, "Honey, you a boy." First words out of her mouth. And I was like, haha, no, I'm just a lesbian. And then finally, when I finally came out, she sees me in the bar. She comes running towards me. She goes, "Baby, you a boy now."
You didn't hide it very well. It sounds like that was a theme in your life.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was coming up to one of my friends, one of our shows. I was like, "Hey, can you send me for that?" Oh, I know. That's the least shocking thing I've ever heard. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you get a lot of that. Oh, I do. It's always fun.
My favorite is whenever they find out you're trans, and then they're like, "Whoa! If you wouldn't have told me, or if I wouldn't have saw your Facebook or heard, I would have never known." And my response is, "Well, that's great. I guess it's working." You're not supposed to be able to tell.
No, that's great. I wish I could say the same.
Yeah, don't we all? Isn't that every trans person's? Well, not everybody. Generalizing, but yeah, I think that's always a fantasy of some trans people.
Yeah, well, I would say most. I think some don't want to admit it, but also I'm totally against the roles pass. Doesn't have to pass. Some cis people don't even really pass in their own gender, so it's kind of a fucked up thing, but it is a mind fuck. I would really do anything to get this mustache.
Yeah,
we're all rooting for the mustache.
I know. Yeah, cheer on my mustache growth.
I think everybody is. It should. I think all the people that know you well are all rooting, putting in our collective energy to that mustache.
Right. Send the love. It needs it. It really does.
I guess at that point we could kind of wrap it up. What is it? 45 minutes. Look how long.
Yeah,
we've been going. Crazy how quick that goes.
Questions, Kris? I guess that would be a good.
All I hear is wind. I hear
Yeah, I
wind.
hear a lot of wind.
Oh.
It's the
Sorry, I'm walking
storm.
in my
The
neighborhood.
tropical storm.
Little piece of Louisiana for you.
That's
Sounds
great.
like you're
So,
gonna.
what were you saying, Bentley?
Oh, I was just saying, like, do you have any questions before we wrap it up, or is that good?
I don't. Does anybody have anything they want to kind of say or wrap it up with, or is there anything else we want to cover? I think that was a great perspective. Again, we keep talking to the South folks. There's always a lot of good going on here.
To me, it sounds like Blaine needs to go board up his windows.
Yeah, maybe Blaine just. I didn't hear him for a minute. I was like, maybe he just blew away.
Like, Blaine, you go board up your windows. I'll go.
Yeah, I live right next to the Intracoastal Waterway, so
Dang. Yeah,
That's
I guess
awesome.
I would
That's
just say for the end of this podcast, like, if any trans dudes are listening and they don't have top surgery yet, I would just say, like, you're not going to be stoked the first day, and it's hell, but it's worth every single second of hell. And once you're on the other side, it's like, I'm not even completely healed yet, but it's like, it's so worth it. And I was so nervous. And reach out to people that have had the surgery if you have anxiety about it, but just like, no, it's not like you're going to wake up and be fixed. You have to like heal and be patient, and like patience is a huge thing.
absolutely, I 100% agree with that. You definitely, I mean, you got to look at it as your transition, because that's what it is. It's just another step. It's a huge step for a lot of us, but you have to be patient just with like everything. You know, you wait for your beard to grow in, or you wait for, you know, any other little changes you want to see in your body. Just like that, the healing process is going to take time, but man, the feeling of now as opposed to the first day after, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's wild. It is wild.
Fucking awesome. All right. Well, is there anything else? I guess it's weird because usually this is where like, hey, plug a project. Usually it's like an artist or a musician or something. But yeah, I think I love the name, the Bad Boy Blaine thing. I'm totally gonna work that into the title.
Awesome. Yeah, that's I'm rebranding myself because I'm not a male illusionist anymore. I'm a male entertainer.
Perfect.
So Bad Boy Blaine is my new brand. I'm gonna be making T-shirts and bandanas. People can wear as masks because I rock my snailmate mask everywhere I go.
Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah.
That's awesome.
And I also listened to the CD I bought whenever they came down here. I plug snailmate everywhere.
Oh, thanks. You should
Awesome.
check out Chris's band too, Moody Black. I'll send
Sweet.
you a link.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, nice meeting everybody. I know Bentley, we just met just now, so I'm actually gonna, if you got a minute, Ben, after we to stop this one, I'm gonna hit you up again just to get the intro of this podcast for a second,
Yeah.
because we didn't have you last week, so I just want to do that this week.
So,
But cool. Thanks again, and maybe I'll see you down the road whenever we decide to join Snailmate on a tour and end up in Louisiana.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
a really cool venue. You would love it.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's
And we'll
really
hit up that other fucked up bar too, just to scare people.
Right.
awesome. Nice.
Thanks to Blaine for coming on and sharing his story. What a cool episode. I think Blaine is somewhere off in fucking Florida by now, got blown away by that tremendous amount of wind in that tropical storm. I'm just kidding. We want everybody to be safe. We'll see you next week here on Transdemic.